won't stop till I hear him say,
You mentioned CyPRX at the beginning. Can you, so you're the founder of CyPRX, right? Can you tell
100%,
us a
man.
little bit about your company? What made you choose that name also? Like, what's the reason for that? Hello, guys, and welcome. My name is MESCSPR. On this platform, we teach people about crypto and the NFT space, and we provide educational podcasts, interviews, and technical analysis videos. So if you are new to this channel, please give us a like and a subscribe. All we want to do on this channel is to help you elevate your mind and become an amazing person and know about the future, what's happening, you know, right? Right, Cypress?
Absolutely, man. 100%. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. So I'm gonna give a little introduction to our guest today, guys. He comes from California, United States, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, his name is Cypress. I would like to welcome Cypress D, the CEO of CyPRX Superior Trading. Cypress is a successful day trader, entrepreneur, social media strategist, and of course, an investor, right? And his purpose has always been to share his passion for self-improvement while motivating others on their journey to consistently maximize their mental, physical, and financial capabilities.
100%.
Welcome, Cypress. Welcome to the channel.
Thanks, man, for having me.
It's a pleasure
Appreciate
to
you.
have you, man. It's a pleasure to have you, man.
As always, man, like I say, I always revert back to the couple of months ago that we spoke and, you were thinking about, joining up in CyberX, and I told you, man, let's get after it. And I'm happy that you pulled the trigger, man. I'm happy to see you on board. So it's good to see you again. Good to talk to you. Good to catch up.
For sure, bro. For sure. It's an absolute pleasure to have you, man. You've been such a great mentor to me, and I appreciate all the work that you've done. And yeah, it's good to have you here, man. It's good
Thanks,
to
man.
have you.
Appreciate you.
For sure. So Cypress, can you tell the audience and myself some of the things that you've done in the past? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Background, yeah, for sure, man. So I guess I haven't really ever disclosed any of this. So we'll start all the way back from high school, man. Might as well. I'm 28 years old now, be 29 next month. Right out of high school, age 17 to 18, I joined the United States Army, spent 5.5 years actually as an infantry soldier. Kind of interesting looking at where I'm at now in life, because back in the day, I remember being the type of individual that thought fighting for your country was actually a real thing. There was even a point in my military career where I wanted to take it all the way and do 20 plus years and retire.
Damn.
Yeah,
Okay.
so towards the end of my military career, like 2016, 2017, I got heavily involved into motorcycles, believe it or not. I prospected for about 6 months and became of a motorcycle club that was a sister club to a 1% motorcycle club. I don't know if you're too familiar with what that means here in America. It's like
that must be a huge
kind of,
achievement, right?
yeah, kind of like an illegal, no, it's kind of like an illegal motorcycle club. I'm not going to disclose what motorcycle club that is, but yeah, they were operating out of El Paso, Texas. I was stationed at Fort Bliss, and I had a mentor that was a high-level Mason in that motorcycle club. And he started giving me a whole bunch of deep information on the way that the world truly works. So, I started reading books that he would recommend. Some had to do with trading. For example, a book that I heavily read back in the day was How I Made $1 Million Last Year Trading Commodities by Larry Williams. Some of the books that he recommended had to do with the way that the world really operates behind the scenes, like the Shock Doctrine or Tower of Babel, Fingerprints of the Gods, Dead Man's Chest, just to name a few off the top of my head. And that's really what opened the door, to trading for me, man. That's really what allowed me to expand myself mentally.
Okay, that's interesting. So you must have experienced some next shit, man. You must have had some next knowledge from that
Yeah,
guy.
it's been an interesting journey, man. I can't complain. It's been an interesting
That's
journey.
crazy. That's actually my next question is actually the continuation of what you just said already. So can you talk and tell us about your trading journey? What made you become a professional trader or an investor in this
Yeah,
field?
for sure, man. I'd love to. So I'll touch back on my mentor because a lot of people,
Sure.
I talk about this in the CyberX community a lot, who my mentor is, and obviously, of course, he's a ghost individual. I'll probably never disclose who this individual is, but one thing that my mentor told me that changed my life forever was to buy Bitcoin. And so I did. I didn't buy a whole bunch. I only bought 6 of them, and this was like
That's good.
2016 when they were less than $1,000 or so. It feels like such a
Man.
long time ago now.
Mm.
And then one day, I think it was in December of 2017, because that's really only the time that I travel home is during the holidays. So I'm pretty sure it was December 2017, the following year. I looked at my portfolio and it had skyrocketed in value compared to where I had bought in. So obviously, of course, what my mentor said was right. Now, during that whole process, I was semi-studying trading and transitioning out of the military back into a civilian lifestyle. And I became a private contractor for a little bit, working in Washington, D.C. And long story short, I eventually got fed up with working with the company that I was with, and I wanted to change my environment, man. I was just fed up with it, working in DC, just the people that I was working with, everything surrounding that whole entire aspect of being a private contractor. So eventually that led me to saving up enough money to move to California. This was in like 2018, and I got a decent job when I moved to Cali. But I freaking hated it, man. I remember just, during that transition, I'd still been studying the markets mainly. In the beginning, it was forex and commodities. I had invested in, altcoins at the time, like XRP, and I had bought some Ethereum back in the day. But my main focus in the beginning of my trading career was forex and commodity trading. I traded gold very often, but I was still having trouble being a consistent trader with my win rate. So towards the end of, and this is obviously, of course, all because I was trying to balance a job. I had moved and whatnot. So towards the end of 2018, I was sick and tired of the job that I had as a private contractor now in California, because it required me to travel like, I don't know, 3 weeks out of the month, maybe barely having any time to progress as an individual. And that's what I'm really, that's really truly what motivates me, is to progress as an individual, so that way I can help people around my circle or in my influence, or who I have a direct influence on. So yeah, at that time I was all, hanging out with certain individuals in California that I'd run to, and I happened to run into a guy. Well, he was a teenager at the time, but he was talking about how he made like $10,000 in forex trading in some group that he was in. And I was already studying trading, so I could immediately tell that he was part of one of those pyramid forex schemes, where some like forex guru, right,
IMOs.
would
Yeah.
like make you like part of their team if you could
Yeah.
get as many people to sign up for their like freaking
Yeah.
$5,000 trading course or something like that, right? And I remember that very next day, after meeting this dude that was telling me about how much money he makes in forex and da 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 da, I got into some kind of trouble with the company that I worked for because of someone else's mistake that they made the previous day. And I remember feeling like crap because of it. I was walking down my stairs. I had a condominium at the time, and I was walking down the stairs in tears after getting off my phone with my boss that I had at the time, because of how crappy I felt.
Right.
I was fed up with the way that my life was going. It felt like I was just in limbo. So at that moment, I called my boss. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be a grown man crying like this, emotional, because my life isn't going the way that I wanted to. I'm going to do something about it. So I put in my 2 weeks notice. And I remember at the time having a few $1,000s in my bank account. I'm not going to disclose the amount, but it was like a survival amount. Like, this was my last little bit of money. And then obviously, of course, the few Bitcoin that I had bought back in 2016, and a couple of digital assets that I had bought outside of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So I was pretty much on my last limb. But at that point in time, I said to myself, making this decision will give me the opportunity to really dial in and focus on trading and entrepreneurship. And so I did just that, man. I created my first company that I don't really publicly broadcast. It was called Obsidian World. And I spent the last bit of money that I had on prop firm challenges, man. Quite a few, mind you. It wasn't just like 1 or 2 prop firm challenges. It was like 10 or 12.
Man, you must have gone through accounts, man.
That's not the point. That's besides the point.
Yeah.
But the point is that every mistake that I made, after making this transition, quitting my job and then focusing in on trading, I made sure that I attempted to correct mistakes as fast as I could. And that is how I created the CyberX strategy, through real trial and error in the markets. And then, finally with I think it was my last $1,500, man, I was literally skimming it. I was like, oh, this is it. This is either make or break. So I'm either going to have to pass the next challenge I purchased, or I'm going to have to go find a job again and liquidate all my Bitcoin. Because at the time, the company that I created, Obsidian World, was not generating enough revenue for me to survive off of yet. So this was the biggest challenge that I bought. I bought $100,000 challenge, and sure enough, I made sure to follow my trading plan to the T of a degree, like I tell you guys in the course. And that's being disciplined, man. I was being very disciplined as possible as I could. Not over trading, controlling my emotions, not being impulsive, chasing the market, controlling my risk properly, the whole spiel, right? And I passed my...
It works.
Yeah, man, it does, 100%. I passed my
100%.
first prop firm challenge at the beginning of 2019, and I haven't looked back since.
That's beautiful, brother. That's absolutely beautiful. That's beautiful to hear. When I hear about someone else's success, it just makes me very, very happy, man. I don't know why. I just feel something in myself that wow, he's done it that way in his own way, and that's beautiful. You know what I mean? It's crazy. You mentioned crypto at the beginning. I wanted to tell a little backstory, a little story about myself, how I entered the crypto as well, which is actually very similar to what you said. In 2017, before that parabolic alt season, remember?
100%.
2 weeks before, I heard something on the news about XRP, Ripple, crypto. I was like, oh, I've heard of crypto before. XRP, I haven't really heard of that. Let's go buy it. So I went on this dodgy website. There wasn't a lot of exchanges out there. I had no clue. I didn't know. Sorry, Chris, back then I had no knowledge, bro. Imagine someone that's new, like retail, jumping on the forex or whatever. I was the same. I had no knowledge, so I could have lost that trade. But it actually, surprisingly, it went from 24 cents to $4 in 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks max, was it?
Yeah.
In that old season.
It was like 30 days,
and
man. Yeah,
then,
something like that. It was a very short period of time.
I could not believe that, Cypress. I could not believe it, bro.
I remember that, man.
It was
I
wild.
had like 10,000 XRP at the time, and
no way.
This will tie
That's
in
crazy.
to a later part of the interview, I'm sure, surrounding CyPRX. But yeah, man, it's XRP's been a part of my trading journey since day one. Yeah, XRP's been part of my trading journey since day one.
That's
very interesting, man.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So let's move on to the next question then, Cypress, if you don't mind. So how has the trading, everything that you just mentioned here, has changed your life? How has it changed your life? And what are the positive and negative impacts that he has had on your life?
Positive and negative impacts. That's such a
good question, huh?
It is, man, because there's so many. I'll start with the positives first, because I try to be an optimistic person. So I'd say that the number one thing positively that trading has brought me, in a sense, is given the opportunity to evolve as an individual. Trading has given me the opportunity to evolve as an individual, which has allowed me to help other people. And we talked about this offline, is that the feeling that I get when someone thanks me for what I've given them in the CyberX community or on the internet space, regardless if it's they watch a YouTube video of mine or they join the mentorship and they take something valuable away from what it is that I teach, that's more positive and beneficial to me than any financial gain that I could acquire from this market. It's truly it's what drives me forward. So that's one positive aspect of all this, is I'm just consistently getting good feedback, man. It's, it's a part of business to get negative feedback, but I'm not bullcrap. I'm not bullshitting you when I say that 99% of the people that come into the CyberX community benefit from it. And that's just, it's ecstatic, because that's exactly what I created it for. Some other positives are, I'm my own boss. I create my own schedule. It's allowed me to generate a real perspective of reality. What does it actually take to be an entrepreneur, to actually generate revenue on a consistent basis from this market, or as a business owner or as an investor? I know that we've talked before, but I also invest in real estate and things of that nature. So it's just given me a perspective on what it really takes. And so as an influencer that actually has a business and actually has a solid community and actually trades the market, I can easily weed out the people that don't know what they're talking about. So that's in a sense giving me a little bit of an edge in the market, which is a positive. Set my own hours. That's obviously, of course, phenomenal. And I think last but not least, on the positive side of things, is just the freedom to spend my time the way that I want to spend it. Although I do spend a lot of my time working on my business and consistently focusing on my investments and growing my knowledge in the market and trading and whatnot. But if I wanted to, honestly, man, just take like a month or two off, I could, and I think that that's
Sure.
the freedom of choosing what I get to do with my time is probably the best. The negative side of things, there's not too many, but they are big pain points. Like I was talking to you about this offline, is that sometimes it gets really lonely, especially when it comes to family and friends, because it's really kind of hard to
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to correlate ideas with people that aren't really on
You
your
can't.
level of
You
understanding.
cannot do that. You
Yeah,
cannot do that.
so that's kind of miserable sometimes. I
It
miss
is.
having friends, even though I cut off a lot of my friends because they weren't productive individuals, they weren't being productive human beings, so it allowed me to progress doing so. But at the end of the day, humans lust for attention and love, and to get that on a day-to-day basis when you're an entrepreneur is kind of, it's give or take. And
It's
then
tough.
the last negative that I'd say is sometimes I find it really hard to stay motivated. As hard as that sounds to believe, coming from me, an individual that literally has spent my entire career trying to motivate people, it's I find it hard to find motivation myself. So I'm constantly not only trying to motivate other people, but trying to find ways to motivate myself. And sometimes that can get a little bit, nostalgic and depressing. So yeah,
That's interesting.
positives and negatives, man.
Okay. Yeah, that's amazing what you just said. Yeah, it's made me think. It's made me think. You mentioned CyPRX at the beginning. Can you? So you're the founder of CyPRX, right? Can you tell
100%,
us a
man.
little bit about your company? What made you choose that name? Also, like, what's the reason for that? You've told me once, but I want an audience to also hear
Yeah,
about
yeah,
the
yeah.
different areas.
So
It's
first
mind-blowing.
I'll talk about the name just real quick before I get into why I created CyberX. So back when I had created Obsidian World, and we started generating, I think like the first number I hit was like $35,000 in like 6 months. My small company, Obsidian World, created or had generated, and I had to hire a assistant to help me with emails and marketing and things of that nature. And so this is also back in, dang, I don't remember the year, maybe like 2018, something along those
Okay.
lines. I think so. Yeah, it was like 2018. So right before COVID hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were sitting there one day and we were talking about creating what at the time was not CyberX, but we were talking about creating a mentoring program because I had just started to realize profits in the market. And we were sitting there and we had watched a video from some bullish moon boy talking about $589 XRP. And so my assistant looked over to me and said, let's just call it CyPRX. And I was like, why do you pick that name? And they were like, well, the first two
Wow.
letters of your name are CY, and then XRP backwards would make CyPRX. And then so that's how the name CyberX came up. And then also a lot of people don't understand the subliminal price tag that we charge for our mentorship program.
Yeah.
So at first, me and the team of people who generated and created CyberX, we weren't going to charge anybody. But then once we started building the website, once we started to generate the marketing content, once we started to generate the content itself, we realized that it took a lot of elbow grease so that we should be
Yeah.
compensated in some
Fair
way.
enough.
But I put my foot down and I told them, the people that helped me create CyberX, I don't want to be one of these mainstream influencers that charges people thousands of dollars for a program. So I said, well, we're going to charge less than $1,000. We're going to be different, and we're actually going to provide valuable information to people that's going to help them in this market. So, well, like I said, we were watching that 589 price prediction from this XRP bullish moon boy. So I said, let's just charge people $589 and call it CyberX. So that's how that name came up.
I'll be
But
honest with
yeah,
you, Cyprus. Sorry, you got anything more to
no,
say?
go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, I got more to say. I'll talk about the
Cool.
company itself,
Yeah,
but
of
yeah.
course. Now, I just want to cut you there. Sorry about that. I just want to go back to when you mentioned the $500 price tag. In my opinion, what you are teaching, I've calculated in my mind, is worth 100 grand.
Oh,
You're
100%.
charging people you're saving other people $99,500 by
100%.
doing this,
I couldn't agree more,
right?
man. It's very interesting. The people that come into the CyberX community, even just with, this isn't the signals group or anything like that, but even just with some of the price predictions and call outs that I've given, people have the opportunity to regenerate the revenue that they put into CyberX.
Sure.
I made it a very small price, number one, so that it was affordable. I'll get into this in a second when I explain to you why I created CyberX. But I mean, the amount of information that I give compared to the price tag, you can clearly tell that I'm not in this for money compared to other gurus on the internet who are charging
Yeah.
thousands of dollars for less information, right? CyberX, like you said,
It's bollocks, man.
it's worth way more. And there's going to be a day in the future where I stop people from enrolling, where people aren't going to be allowed to access this information, right? We're going to close off our community to the general public and we'll go ghost. But that time's not yet. There's still too many people out there that need this information, in my opinion. So yeah, I'll talk about CyberX real quick if you don't mind, man.
Please do. Please.
I'll start with a quote that resonates to me from one of my favorite books. It's called The Science of Getting Rich. And it goes something like, I'm sorry if I butcher this, but just off the top of my head, it goes something like, the man who has nothing to give cannot fulfill his place as a father, a husband, a citizen, or as a human being. And it goes on to say, you can render God and humanity no greater service than to make the most of yourself. And so I created CyberX mainly because I've always had a passion for self-improvement, like you said in the introduction. And me self-improving has allowed me to help others. So when I became a profitable trader, I took notice that the majority, mostly all the influencers and the information that you can find online, it's bullcrap. And it's overpriced and it's ran by some guru who doesn't really have anything in common with the people that join their program. So in 2019, when CV19 really started to pick up, and then in 2020, when the lockdowns and all took place, I was stuck inside just like everybody else at the time. So I became really popular on Instagram at the time, partly because of my first business, Obsidian World, really started picking up traction. And then also at the same time, I had been posting accurate trades on my story reel on Instagram. I was calling out price predictions in the market left and right, and that grabbed people's attention because of how consistently accurate I was doing it. And so I think at one point I got up to like 30,000 followers on Instagram, but then my page got hacked, so I went ghost.
Oh, man.
And
Okay.
when I went ghost, at the time, I had a few people. It was literally like about 10 to 15 people that I was consistently talking to, and I was mentoring them. But, this is before CyberX was actually officially created. So those individuals had motivated me because they were interested in learning how I traded the markets. So, whatever approach at the time, because I had transitioned from one strategy that I was teaching to now the CyberX strategy that I teach. But they were interested in that approach that I took to deliver such accurate trades. And so at the same time too, this isn't something that I really disclosed, but I was also part of a trading program that turned out to be a massive scam. And I'm sure that people in the forex community have heard about this, AstraFX, and it was ran by two individuals named Sean Lee and Aman Knott. It turned out to be this massive scam, right? They charged people like $10,000 for their course and taught them.
No way.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. They charged them like some people 15 grand, some people 20 grand, some people 10 grand, all to learn stuff that you can learn for free on Baby Pips. It's literally nuts. So anyways,
crazy. Oh my
okay. This is my last little spiel. I had this aha moment, okay? And I saw a problem in the market. And anybody that is an entrepreneur or has ever started a business knows that the only way for your business to be successful is if you solve a problem. And so the problem was there was no real raw mentoring program in the Forex and crypto space that was affordable. And that really gave you an in-depth perspective of what you needed, at least for my opinion, to succeed long-term in this market, regardless of what you traded. So I created CyberX to solve that problem. I had the ability to provide something that I felt was valuable to help other human beings improve. And so, I created CyPRX with that vision, is to help other people become the best version of themselves. And that led to the creation of CyPRX. So yeah, man, it's been
Beautiful, man. Beautiful.
it's been a good journey, man. We've, since we created CyPRX, we've generated over 13 profitable traders. It's been a year and a
Amazing.
half. It'll be 2 years in August of this year. And not including myself, some people will be like, this is my last spiel. Some people will say, oh, 13, right? That's not a lot of profitable traders. But when you
That's
think of it,
amazing, mate.
when you think of it in terms of percentages, 95% of traders lose money in this market. Well, if you have 300 people that have joined CyberX and 13 people have become fully profitable since joining, 13 is like 4%, if I'm not mistaken, or 4.2 or 4.5% of 300. So already we're starting to fill the void of that 5% of traders who are profitable in this market, right? That's the way that I see it.
Yes.
So
yeah, that's wise. That's very wise. I like that. So in the Cyprus, let's go over the next section. Then we're gonna into the Web3 section of the interview. Let's talk about Web3. When did you first enter the Web3 space and then started researching about it?
sure, yeah, man. So Web3, I guess you could say that I got into Web3 back in 2016. The first company I started researching was Ripple. I know in the crypto space, it's become a little bit more mainstream now, but back then, when I started researching how Ripple used decentralized peer-to-peer networks to allow individuals and institutions to send and receive funds in a fast, and low-cost manner, back in those days, no one was really talking about it like they are now, given XRP price predictions all the time on YouTube and Twitter, right? Nobody was really doing that back in 2016 when I got heavily involved. So yeah, I put two and two together, and one of the key areas that Web3 is expected to make a very significant impact to the world is in the financial sector, right? Obviously, of course, that's going to be with the help of blockchain technology. There's many aspects to Web3, and blockchain technology is one of those aspects. So at the end of the day, anyone who searches or does in-depth research on Web3 knows that it's expected to disrupt the traditional financial system, or it's already disrupting the traditional financial system. So, when I started researching Ripple, you come to find out that their goal is to provide a more accessible and affordable financial service to individuals and businesses alike. So I compared that at the time to the primary goal of Web 3.0, which is, the goal of Web 3.0 is to create a more user-centric internet where individuals have more control over their data, right? So,
Sure.
in my opinion, I put two and two together back in the day and decided that, Ripple was particularly well suited to take on that task. So there I was, man. I started going down the rabbit hole, doing in-depth research, came to the conclusion that this technology is going to revolutionize the way that we do things. At least this was back in 2016, and it's going to take time. Changing something that's been operating a certain way for decades, it's not going to be an overnight process. And so overall, I came to the conclusion to start my Web3 journey, Ripple was at the forefront of that. And I decided that they're going to play a major critical role in what's going to be something big, man. And it's proven to be that way ever since, man. Just ever since I started getting into Ripple and XRP, it's just been partnership after partnership, people flooding XRP after flooding XRP. Yeah, 100%, man. So it's been a journey.
Imagine that from 2016. Yeah, that's crazy. That's even the way less back when I entered. It was so you must have caught it in like mini cents, like micro cents.
I tell a lot of people that the majority of my dollar cost average positions on XRP have been less than 32 cents. So yeah, I think I bought my first XRP at like 11 cents, which isn't
around that.
Yeah, around that time. I mean, 2016, what is that, like 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, over 7 years ago, man. I don't have a good memory. So, yeah, something around that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And finally, I'm gonna just put something here as well before we go to the next question.
Sure.
I want to go back to the blockchain aspect of what you just mentioned. I believe that the plan was written many years ago.
Oh, 100%.
But they just didn't have the technology for it to implement that plan. So now we get into a stage where we're going towards the metaverse era of human beings being stuck at home on the metaverse, locked in. And blockchain technology is really needed for that system to work, right?
100%.
Don't you think? Don't you agree?
100%, man. At the end of the day, call me conspiracy theory tin hat wearing individual if you want, but this digital, plan to transition everybody over to, blockchain technology and a digital infrastructure to track, monitor, and control individuals has been in the works since, man, the 1900s. It's nothing new. And when you actually think about it, this is something I was watching, an interview that I was watching earlier today. This whole spiel about central bank digital currencies, people don't understand that our money has been constructed on a digital ledger for quite some time. When you, let's just say, for example, you go put your money into a bank, do you think that they put that cash that you deposit into the bank in a big massive vault and keep it there overnight? No, it goes into the bank. Some Brinks truck or something picks it up and takes it back to the Federal Reserve or wherever it is that they take it, who at the end of the day, but it turns into a digital ledger. It goes onto a digital ledger in the form of zeros and ones, and
Yeah.
it's been that way for quite some time. People are now just starting to wake up to this technology because of this boom and bust cycle in form of cryptocurrency, so yeah, man, it's been written in stone for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What aspects of Web3 are you most interested in? Any projects, any interest in NFTs, and why?
That's a good question too, man. What aspects of Web3? There's so many. There's literally so many portals that you could go down when it comes to Web3. You got artificial intelligence, you got things like decentralization, blockchain tech, which has taken the majority of my focus. You got interoperability, you got new immersive technologies, things of that nature.
Yeah,
I think I'm most interested. We'll get off the blockchain technology part of things, and
sure.
I think I'm most interested in artificial intelligence, AI. That aspect of Web3, mainly because, in my opinion, again, this is my opinion, artificial intelligence, it can significantly enhance entrepreneurship productivity. And as an
Yeah,
entrepreneur, I look at utilizing AI to maximize my efficiency. Things like automating time-consuming tasks, things like providing valuable insights in the form of research, right? That Google can't answer. There's a lot of things that you can go on
yeah, yeah.
Google and it won't answer it directly. It has to beat around the bush and give you a whole bunch of links that you have to go click through. Whereas AI, you could just type in a question, it'll answer it directly for you.
Cool.
You know, it can also be used for content creation. There's AI powered tools that generate like high quality content, things like blog posts, social media posts, right? So if you're an entrepreneur that has an Instagram or a YouTube or a Twitter, you can literally just automate your content creation. It's literally maximize my fit. I'm telling you, dude,
Smart.
it's nuts. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, as an entrepreneur, you can use AI for research, networking, search engine optimization. I mean, there's literally so many portals you could go down when it comes to AI. However, there is a dark side of AI that I firmly believe is going to take place if you're not an entrepreneur utilizing it in the now in the early stages to benefit from. And it can be kind of scary, man. So I'll again slap this. This is my opinion on what I'm about to say, but dude, AI, in my opinion, it's going to replace jobs. It's gonna lead to mass unemployment, which at the end of the day suits the cabal agenda, suits the elite agenda, because the unemployed individuals will gladly accept their CBDC allotment, their digital dollar once per month when that whole transition kind of rolls out. And all of this is going to lead, in my opinion, to a social credit score, social credit restrictions, and carbon allowances in 15-minute cities alike, where they're going to be able to track, control, and monitor everything
it's
on.
crazy.
Yeah, it's really truly nuts, man, that we're heading into that. AI is going to replace virtually the entire programming and coding industry. I'm sure that if you haven't heard already, like ChatGPT can generate code that works to
Yeah,
place profitable freaking trades in the market. It's
yeah.
literally nuts. I mean, it'll most likely even replace like specialized positions like medical industry positions or tech industry. 100% it's going to replace a lot of working positions in the tech industry.
Yeah,
um,
it's crazy.
yeah, people that create media content for news agencies, it's going to replace those jobs. Advertising agencies, it's going to replace jobs like that. I mean, dude, even down to like video game creators, it's going to replace those jobs. So overall, I think AI is going to take over an entire set, not just one industry, multiple sets of industries, putting thousands of people out of work. I mean, it's literally going to be nuts, man. So when it comes to Web3, I'd say that my sole focus right now, capitalizing on the early stages of this, is artificial intelligence and distributed ledger technology. Now, to answer the second part of your question, you mentioned NFTs. I'm going to be completely honest with you. That's a rabbit hole as well. And in the Web3 space, NFTs are probably the part of Web3 that I lack the most knowledge in, mainly because it's so diverse. I mean, you have what? You got art, you got music, you got gaming, sports, collectibles. A big one is going to be identity verification, where everybody operates with a little tiny plastic piece of, whatever for their identity, for their passport. And it's going to all be on NFTs in the future,
Crazy.
A virtual world. For me personally, it's not going to be an if when I get into NFTs, because I'm a real estate investor. I think that the biggest game changer that NFTs is going to bring to a big, massive market, I mean, trillions of dollars, is real estate, because NFTs, obviously, of course, they can be used to represent ownership of real estate. I think that's going to be big. So when I do focus on NFTs, that's where my focus is going to be oriented towards, is the real estate market.
How would that work, do you think? Do you just go and buy on a marketplace and buy a house through buying an NFT?
I mean, personally, like I said, scratching the surface on research, it's going to pretty much, from what I've seen, it's going to make the process of buying and selling property more efficient, just based off of being a property owner myself. The whole entire paperwork process, it's a freaking headache, man. And then not only the paperwork process is a headache, but say you're moving, or say you're moving locations, or you start to take on multiple properties, just filing and managing all of that paperwork is insane. So if NFTs can simplify that process, bring it on, man. I'm telling you right now, I got a whole stack of papers for my real estate portfolio that if they were just on like an NFT, it'd be so much easier.
Dude, you can just rent out your house by renting out your NFT.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Like,
it's nuts.
it just makes life easy. Yeah. So how do you think, now we just talked about some of the stuff that you mentioned here, how do you think Web3 can benefit us in our everyday lives? Are there going to be any positives or negatives? If there are both, can you let us know here?
Yeah, it's kind of in correlation with the question before. There's a lot of positives and negative sides of things that you can kind of dabble into. Off the top of my head, I'd say that Web3 in particular, positive side of thing, before I go down the negatives, things like increased data privacy, secure transactions. Blockchain technology, obviously, of course, can enable secure tamper-proof transactions, which I think is very beneficial to the financial market. dApps, decentralized applications, that's going to be, big in Web3 tech. And then obviously, of course, DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. Mentioning those acronyms, I'll get into the negative side of things. It's one big negative of Web3 is the complexity of the Web3 tech. And it's that right now, to a normal participant or a market retail trader that comes into this space, that's just a normal shop at your local mall, go to your 9-to-5 job, it's very complex and difficult to use this technology because of the learning curve that you have to take on. You have to learn new acronyms, you have to learn new vocabulary, you have to learn how to buy, sell, and store safely digital assets and things of that nature, or NFTs, or whatever the case may be. So I think right now we're in a tricky environment where, because of the complexity of this space and the regulatory uncertainty, which is also a negative, it's limiting adoption. There's no real sound go-to place where it's kind of one for all. You can just learn it all and hop on board. There's too many influencers out there spitting out different information, spitting out, this is the new best project, this is what's going to be the next big thing. So people are kind of like, you know what? I don't want to deal with it right now. But then on the opposite side of things, you have individuals that do take the initiative to invest in these up and emerging new technologies, which obviously, of course, is going to be beneficial, in my opinion, to those that do. And then the biggest negative from Web3 that I think is going to come, and it's coming, it's 110% here, it's coming, it's just a matter of when, not if, is the centralization aspect of it. And that's, despite the promise of decentralization, that things like Bitcoin did for the financial industry, I think that there's still a risk that certain entities, governmental entities, banks, major individuals, to meet their political agenda, I think that they're going to gain too much power and control over this new technology. And that's going to lead to major power imbalances, man. And we're seeing that in the form of this massive CBDC rollout, where they're truly trying to disguise that what they're doing is beneficial to the general average individual, but in reality, they're just utilizing CBDCs in this mass rollout to track, monitor, control, and trace everybody's transactions and control what it is they spend their money on. So there's positives, man. I'll say this. This is the last part before we move on.
Sure.
I don't think that we're going to see a mass, I'm talking about trillions of dollars flood into the space until right now we're at like an equilibrium where the positives are kind of balanced out by the negatives. I don't think we're going to see that mass adoption until there's more positives than there are negatives. And right now we're not seeing that. We're seeing kind of at like we're at an equilibrium.
Okay,
It's interesting.
Interesting. Okay, that's interesting. It's very interesting. It's crazy where we're heading. Funnily enough, I was going to ask you this. You mentioned it a little bit before. Where do you think we are heading within the next decade to a century? Will Web3 play a big role in that, do you think?
Yeah, man. I keep saying 100%. I love that term, 100%, 100% all the way. Let me just sum this up. It's if people don't realize that this is going to be $1 trillion market in the future, then individual, just to name a few off the top of my head, based off the research that I've done, we got major players in this market. We got the Visa CEO mentioning at Davos this year that our payment infrastructure is only 13% digital, and within the next decade, we'll see 100% digitized infrastructure. That's massive. We got Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, just put out a letter to investors. Yeah, man, mentioning, like, literally just put out a letter to investors, an annual letter mentioning the importance of digital assets and blockchain tech when it comes to the tokenization of real assets, and they're $1 trillion asset managing firm. And what do you think they're going to be utilizing with real estate, things of that nature when it comes to the NFT space? Come on now. We got Nellie Lang, the United States Undersecretary of the Treasury of Domestic Finance, just said a few months ago on a BIS panel that crypto will be used for payments in the future. So where do I think it's going in the next decade? It's going to be massive, man. However, right now, I think what's really diluted in this space is that humans naturally, we tend to gravitate towards things that provide us with quick dopamine hits, and people always want fast results. So naturally, humans get bored of things that aren't moving at a rapid pace, and their attention span starts to get swept away by the next shiny object. So they lose the long-term vision.
Yes.
I'm sure that you know this in the form of entrepreneurship studies, but most people don't even have a 5 to 10 year plan written down or even thought of. They usually only think about, they usually only think about today, tomorrow, and even worse, most individuals are consumed by their past, which disallows them to even look forward towards the future. So when it comes to the future of Web3 and blockchain technology and all the aspects of Web3, dude, it's going to be monumental. And let me just put it up this way. I've said this in the past, and I'll continue to say this. It's going to be bigger than the internet and the cell phone adoption combined. Period.
That will be huge.
100%. It's just like the internet, just like cell phone adoption. It can only be created once. And once it's created once and it gets mass adopted, there's no looking back. It's never going to happen again. You can only scale it up. You can never recreate it,
You're right.
So it's going to be big, man.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. That's exactly where we're heading. That's exactly what's going to happen. Sure. If people do research, they will realize, if they do research.
Yeah, but most people, man, can't even read a PDF to save their life. So, I mean, and it's not to talk crap about people. It's just sometimes people don't have time, but then also some people just are lazy and they don't want to actually open up a document from a bank and read it, to inform themselves on what's going on. They want to watch an influencer do it. They want to watch, some bullish moon boy that draws a Fibonacci retracement on their charts do it for them, So
some BS, yeah. CyberX, it's time for a bonus question, if you're ready.
Sure, brother.
What would be one thing that you will want to change about the world? Think about it.
Oh gosh, so many things. One, yeah, it's hard to just pick one, man. I think I would dial it more oriented towards the human race as a whole. If I could change one thing, it would probably be to get all the individuals that are in control of this world excuse me, or everybody, just every single human being in general, to come to the realization of asking themselves this question is, what could we as a human civilization, no matter, you know, what agenda you stand by, what political position you take, no matter what race you are, color you are, religion you are, doesn't matter. If we all realize that we're all blood, bone, brains, um, what could we accomplish as a human civilization if we worked together? There's way too much segregation. There's way too much diversification. And it sucks because we're all stuck here on this planet together, and we make this experience more crappy for everybody that's on this planet because nobody can come to the realization that the only way for us to succeed as a human civilization is if we work together. And it's unrealistic. It's very unrealistic because of personal preferences and greed and this and that, right? But if I was to change one thing, that would be definitely one of the things. I wouldn't put a second thing out there, is that I would really be interested to see what would happen if the governmental entities or whoever's in control, again, the black water corporations who are in control of this world that you don't really know exist, if they allowed certain advanced technologies that are used to harness energy, if we could use them to accumulate the natural resources that this planet provides to benefit the world's population. I mean, there's research that I've done where, you know, inventors have created automobiles that run on water. Well, why are we not using them? It's obviously, of course, because there's an agenda behind the oil industry and fossil fuels and whatnot. And there's a massive financial industry behind it, massive manipulation, and it's just insane. So those would be the two things that I would change, is for everybody to wake up and realize that if we work together, we could literally, I mean, we could travel the freaking universe. It'd be insane what we could do, what we could accomplish in the matter of, in the matter of 1 year. What we could accomplish if everybody worked together would be more than what we could acquire if we continued to go down the same route that we're going in a century. Let me put it to you that way. And then same thing, vice versa, with the whole, you know, the natural resources in the form of energy that this earth provides. People don't really understand. You walk outside, it's raining, or you walk down to the lake, that's energy always constantly moving all the way down to the littlest tiny molecule, an atom. It's all energy. And so if we came to a conclusion or a realization as a civilization that, number one, we're allowed to harness that energy and then allow it to benefit everybody all around the world in the form of releasing technology that already exists. I mean, if you haven't done research on technology that already exists that the government's hiding from people, I don't know what to tell you, but yeah, you know, it'd be that, to release that technology to the world and allow everybody to benefit from natural resources. Yeah.
We never know about the truth. We never know about the truth.
Yeah, man, being in the military really opened my eyes to, you know, like I said, the way that the world really works. And that's one of the main reasons why I had to get out, man, because I saw, you know, I saw the corruption behind the scenes, the real in the know-how, you know. So it's interesting, man. It's interesting.
Salute, man. Salute for that. Yeah, fantastic. That's a very good answer, man. I couldn't have imagined a better answer. You know, that's the best way I can say it. So what are your future plans then, Cypress? What are you looking to do?
I mean, there's so many different things, man. Personally, I plan on retiring by age 35, which is only 6.5 years away. So that's something to look forward to. Maybe not retire. I'll probably always trade, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm just talking about, yeah, I'm talking about like the amount of money that I plan on accumulating in the form of passive income to stop like working and accumulating more passive income will probably be met by the time I'm 35, where I can just say, you know what, if I don't want to work, I don't have to. And work in a sense of entrepreneurship and generating businesses and whatnot. I'm addicted to it, man. I love entrepreneurship. I love being my own boss and I love helping people. So we'll see. Future plans, man, just continue to be a good mentor, continue to be a good business owner and a good friend to the individuals that deserve my friendship, and continue to progress, man. I wake up every morning early at the butt crack of dawn, trying to be the best version of myself, better than I was yesterday. And it's gotten me to where I'm at today. So I'm just going to continue to do that until I'm either in a one of them human incarcerating burning things, or 6 feet under, man. I'm just going to keep grinding, you know, keep grinding, putting out valuable information to the world.
I want the audience right now to just clap there. That's beautiful. Very good. Awesome, man. CyPRX, it's been an amazing talk with you. The last time we talked was ages ago.
100%.
So it's very, very nice, and it's a refreshing thing to be able to talk to you again. It was
Big facts,
exciting. I really loved it. The whole conversation was amazing.
I love seeing you in the
And-
community, man. I think it's phenomenal, dude. People don't even know, bro. You came in freaking pulling triggers, boy, left and right. Left, yeah.
I gotta do trade, but yeah, man, you guys have been amazing, and yeah, I couldn't ask for a better mentor, man.
Thanks, man.
You're older than me as well, so I can use your knowledge as well in a lot of fields, and hopefully we can share. I have a lot of knowledge as well, but you know, we can share and connect.
100%, man. Networking is
in the future,
networking is the key to growth when you're an entrepreneur, man. So I look forward to it, brother.
man, definitely. CyPRX, thank you for coming on the channel. Okay, and I hope you have a great day, my friend.
100%, man. You too. We'll catch up soon, man. We'll talk soon.
For sure, for sure.
Many blessings, my friend. Many blessings.
You too, man. Of
All
course.
right, man. Take it easy.
I won't stop till I hear him say